We're gonna take a trip down memory lane here.
Mm-hmm.
I am a junior in college. I'm hanging out with the transfer kids just because I always thought they were cooler at NYU. The kids who got in right away just had too much of an ego.
That
Like
makes sense.
they were still coasting off of being the art kid in high school. So
Yeah,
it's like they were special,
right.
even though like we're not, they're not. Like we're all just kids who are interested in film and are doing their best.
Yeah.
The amount of there was quick aside here, senior thesis pitching movies time. I
Mm-hmm.
kid you not. There were, let's say there was 25 kids in the class. 21 of them pitched like high school coming of age stories, like semi-autobiographical coming of age stories. I'm
And
like,
what
yeah.
year is this? Because there was a point in like certain years where that was just prevalent, where it was just like a bunch of
It
coming.
was right. It was like right when A24 became a thing.
Exactly.
And they
Perfect.
like the way they broke through was with these like coming of age stories.
Yeah,
It was like 2018, 2019.
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, it made it. They were hot at the time. The genre was hot at the time.
Yeah.
But it's also I don't understand like reflecting on your high school like 3 years after you left high school. How much life experience do you now have to where you can understand your thought process at the time?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Anyways,
Mhm.
hanging out with the transfer kids. This very cute girl. She comes by. We start talking, and right away, the eyes, Chico, they never lie. I can tell she's into me. I'm into her. We got a really good banter going. From the moment I met her, we had great banter. And it we're playing like, just matching each other's sarcasm sort of thing.
Mhm.
Which, if that's not romance, what is?
I'll take your word for it.
Her friend comes up to me who I was in class with and tells me like, hey, she's into you. I'm like, oh, I already know.
You're like, I'm ready.
Yes. Exchange numbers. We start talking. She's into hooking up, as the kids say. Hookup culture, as
Okay.
the fucking nerds at like New York Times would put it. I'm not. Like, even then, I was like, I would rather have a relationship. Like, I've never started, up until that point, I've never started hooking up and then led into a relationship. For me,
Yeah.
it was date first, and then, like, you hook up afterwards. And this could be because I was a fucking loser in high school. And I didn't really, like, know, like, I never hooked up with a girl outside of that context.
Right. Like you associated hooking up in relationships is one thing, not really like its own separate thing.
Yeah. And if I did hook up with someone, it was usually clean. Like we hooked
Right.
up and then we went our separate ways. And we hooked up because like we met at a bar that night. And that was kind of like we met at a bar, we hooked up, we exchanged numbers, we hooked up a couple more times, whatever.
Yeah.
Or like the 30-year-old Subway chick.
Yes, that story.
Yeah. But we get going. I'm a little not great with it. It felt like scheduling a dentist appointment. At this time, this place, like your place, because I was living with my aunt and uncle. And I thought when I first came over that like we know what we're here for.
Right.
So I walked in and then like I just scooped her up and started like doing the thing, getting ready for the thing.
Okay.
It turns out there was supposed to be like a preamble period where like she was gonna show me like some of her Yankee stuff and like we would have like a warm up. But
yeah,
I was
a
like,
little casual,
yeah, like wink wink. We gotta like pretend we're not hoes.
Like we can at least casually conversate. You was just there like, come on, I'm here to just drop off my peen and go upon my way. Drop off my peen.
And then I did that. and it was wrong. But we do that. We hook up for a while. She like keeps saying, like, yeah, no, it's fine. I just want to hook up casually. I'm like,
Right.
okay, cool. This is never the truth, by the way. For all you kids out there listening, they never want to just hook up. Like nobody, like in any relationship.
We'll let you finish. I'm gonna let you finish.
Actually, you know, it's rare that at least one person doesn't catch feelings.
That's true.
Yes, that. Yeah, let me rephrase to that.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was about to say, hey, listen. I had a few experiences in my life where it's like somebody's catching some feelings in
especially
it. So that's
if
why.
you do it for a prolonged period.
Yeah, if we're talking more than like a month or a week, some more than a few weeks, yeah, somebody's catching feelings.
Yeah. Like, and I've definitely been on the other side. Like, I've definitely wanted a relationship. Like, it started just hooking up, and then I wanted something more, and they fucking did it.
Right.
It happens. Like, don't beat yourself up about it. Don't harangue the other person about it. It's a very natural feeling to develop. And if you get it and the other person don't, it's okay to just cut ties and find something else in your life. Don't throw your romantic energy after someone who's indifferent. It's not anybody's fault.
It's the circle of life.
It really is. Like, it really is.
It is romantically the circle of life. Like, I can't, like, I've had situations where the person brought to me, like, hey, casual friends with benefit situation. And I kept it that way. I kept the energy and the emotions out of it. They wanted more. Certain things happened in my life where I was like, hey, we gotta cut this out emotionally. I'm going through other things and I can't do this. And they let their emotions be expressed of how they wanted more. And I'm like, that was not in the contract verbally that we had discussed.
The implicit social contract.
It's not within your plan. You talk cell phone plan.
This costs extra, actually.
You got sign up.
And you know, and sometimes it is just that of it's not that they don't like you, or like it's not that you're somebody they don't see a future with. They're just not at that point in their life for whatever reason. They just got out of a relationship. They're transient. They're keeping their feelings close for whatever reason. I'm expressing this because I know I've beat myself up a lot about it. Like, I've never hooked up with a woman who I didn't fall in love with at least a little. And so I'll hold that against myself when it turns out that they don't like want anything more, and I'll beat myself up about it. And it's just not worth it. It's okay. There's if you fell in love once, you'll fall in love again. Don't be one of those motherfuckers who are like, nah, bro, I'm fucking off bitches. Like, I'm all about the grind now. Like, no, that's such a lame way to live. Never close off the potential for romanticism.
Facts. I think when you close that off, you close off a part of living life.
Yeah.
I think it makes you callous. But also, as men, that's kind of some weird thing, machismo thing that we're taught early. Is kind of like when you gotta get your heart broken, and then that's when you really become da 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 da. And it's like, nah. It's like, bro, go live. Go get your heart broken a few times. It's gonna happen. Go live. Go learn. Go get some scars.
I saw a TikTok recently that was like, to be a man, you need to have your heart broken. You need to break a heart. You need to punch someone in the face, and you need to get punched in the face. None of these things are true. No. Take it from me. I'm a boxer. I've got
exactly
a lot. It sucks. Like, if I avoid it now at all costs. Like, if I'm not in a professional environment with people I trust, like headgear on, like, I'm not fighting. Like, I'll do anything. Like, I'm a good talker. I'll just talk my way out of it. I encourage anybody else. Like, don't go looking for a fight. You never know what someone else is like.
Willing to do.
how somebody else is trained. You never know what somebody else is capable of in terms of violence. Once you get into the fight, who knows what happens next? If you really feel that urge, like go join a boxing gym, go join MMA, go join jiu-jitsu.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because honestly, I'm too old to fight. I'm just gonna hit you with a rock.
Right. And there's those motherfuckers out there. Like I was just talking to my homie who was like, I got into a fight and the guy just picked up a bottle and hit me. You never know what motherfuckers are into. And when it comes to like getting your heart broken or breaking a heart, you don't need to break a heart. Like you just need to be truthful with your feelings.
Yeah.
There's no power in that. Like you shouldn't get off on hurting somebody physically or emotionally.
I couldn't agree with that more, Jack.
Yeah. But this was a less mature Jack. Less involved. And winter comes and I'm coaching again. And I take the bus up on Friday. I come back on Sunday. It's like 5-hour bus rides. I'm in class like Monday through Thursday. I don't have a lot of time. I really don't have a lot of energy. I was in fucking awful shape at the time, so the skiing took a lot out of me. The travel took a lot out of me.
Whooped your ass.
Whooped my fucking ass. So I just wasn't hanging around a lot. I wasn't really hooking up. I was trying to get my schoolwork done. I had done such a terrible job my freshman year that I was determined to do well that year, to do well the rest of my college career, I say, because that was 2 years ago, my freshman year. So me and this girl stopped kind of hooking up for the most part, like here and there. We did. And then at the end of that winter, we got into like a big fight about like what we wanted to do next. And she like said to me, she's like, this is what happens. Like people hook up and then they get a little bit more serious. And I was like, I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't know this would be on the test. It wasn't in the study guide.
He was like, this was not in the syllabus.
Yes.
This is not in the syllabus.
I did not do the required reading.
No.
And we got into a big fight. And then I'm on this set, student film set with a girl. She's shooting her. It's like your warm up for your thesis in film school.
Right.
You do like a smaller budget film that's still like 5 to 10 minutes in length. It's like on location, like we have to travel for it. Like nothing in film is easy, and like it's a pretty solid production. She's directing it. She's also fine as hell.
Right.
We're gonna call her Tex.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna call her Tex. Got you.
Tex, no Tex, as in Texas.
Oh, like Texas. Okay, it's like all right, got you.
Tex. That's where she was from.
Gotcha.
She's fine as hell. We get along great on the set. We cook dinner together. It's flirty. The energy is great. And then set ends. We move on. Word gets back to, let's call her Lily, is going to be who I was hooking up with, because names are required to make this simple.
All right, so word gets back to Lily.
Unspool the story.
All right, so word gets back to Lily.
Word gets back to Lily, like, hey, Jack and Tex were really like vibing on this set. Lily hates Tex before we were flirting.
I know where this is going because I've been there, and this already sounds like it is going to go down burning fiery flames.
So we go back. My eyes are lit up with this new girl. She's fresh. She's beautiful. She seems talented. It's checking a lot of boxes.
I have one quick question.
Yes.
Before we continue.
Yeah.
Did you know Lily didn't like Tex before this? Okay.
I didn't know they had any
okay. Don't be a me.
Relationship of any sort.
Don't be a me. don't know that they don't like each other and still say fuck it and go and do a thing. Anyway, continue.
That's where the story takes the turn.
Oh, son of a bitch, Jack. Oh, son of a bitch.
Lily, Tex is having a party.
Mm-hmm.
Lily is going to the party. Lily has found out about the vibes with Tex, and Lily texts me,
Right.
"Hey, please don't go to this party. I've been planning on going to this party. You're gonna like just kind of runs me down. Please don't go."
Okay.
I don't do well with that sort of decree.
I know you don't. I know you don't.
And I stay at home. I stay home watching wrestling.
Okay.
Between my romance. Aha.
Tie-in. Tie-in.
And then at one point, the screen goes dark, and I see myself in the reflection of the screen, and I go, "What the fuck am I doing here?" So I put on my party clothes, and I hop in the subway, and I go downtown to Texas party.
Right.
I get there. I'm hanging out on the roof. I haven't seen either of them yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I come back down, and there is Tex. And we meet eyes, and she goes, "You came." I'm like, "Yes, it's on. Jack. We hang out. We go up to the roof where there's nobody at anymore.
Right.
We start making out and hooking up. When I open I'm facing the stairwell that goes up to the roof.
Okay. So we're like facing left and you guys are like face to face.
Yeah. She's facing towards the city away from the roof.
Okay.
We unlock our lips from one another.
Mm-hmm.
Saliva sticking between.
You don't have to get this damn layer fucking detailed with it. We get it. We get it.
I'm a storyteller. What do you want from me?
All right. Go ahead.
When I open my eyes as this happened, and there's Lily at the roof with all of her friends. Not what
That's
I wanted.
a technical foul. That's a technical
flagrant 2.
You stepped knee deep in it, huh?
I didn't know she wasn't there until.
I mean, she did text you and let you know.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
Yeah.
But still, that's poor timing.
I mean, was there ever going to be good timing at this party, Jack?
In like a back room, closet, maybe.
Only if a bedroom was locked and you could have stayed there the rest of the night, maybe. You're on top of the roof where everybody has access to, my friend. I don't really think you was playing with fire. Like you were double dutching in like gasoline draws with fire rope. Okay, like you're like double.
So this girl, Tex, and I end up hanging out for a few weeks, and then she mentions somebody in her class.
Oh boy.
And she says, "Oh yeah, do you know Lily?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know Lily." And then she says like something about her film. I'm like, "Yeah, we used to like hook up." And Tex goes, "Oh, that explains why she was like staring lasers through me the past 2 weeks. I couldn't figure it out." But Tex and I embark on a relationship. And it's cool and it's nice for the first few months. Bit of a honeymoon period.
Like every relationship.
Yeah, like every relationship. Not months, I should say.
Weeks.
Yeah. This was like after there was like a period of like dating and hooking
up. Of course.
And relationship. And I'm hanging out with her friends. She's hanging out with mine. They're creating mutual friends.
Right.
Ties have begun to be knotted. And
Right.
then our birthday week comes. And I'm a big birthday guy. I love celebrating.
Right.
I get
Isn't
her.
yours coming up?
Huh?
Isn't yours coming up?
Yeah, December 27th. That's right. Wow, what a good friend.
Hey, you tell me one time, that's all I need to know. You tell me one time.
It's remarkable, actually. I get her a gift on her birthday. We hang out. It's great. But then she ends up having like 2 more celebrations that week.
Right.
And then she has a third on like a Friday. And I'm exhausted. So I was in pro wrestling school at the time. And I'm taking the train to Long Island like 2 hours plus every day.
Create a Pro?
Create a Pro.
Okay.
Wrestled MJF once, actually. And
that puts a different connotation on a lot of stuff. Holy shit, did not know that.
Yeah.
All right, continue.
It was like 4 hours round trip, so it was 2 hours one way.
Yeah, Long Island.
I'm fucking exhausted.
Right.
All the time now. And it's like Friday, I've gotten like 3 hours of sleep because I was up like doing homework after wrestling school. I get like a text from her friend who's like, Emma's having a birthday at this place. I'm like, okay, like I talked to her already and it's fine. She was like, yeah, what? Like, you should get her a birthday cake. She shouldn't get her own birthday cake. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
Right. She's had 3 celebrations and you've been at
all of them.
All of them.
And I get there and I'm like, all right, let me just go home and like get a little bit of sleep and I'll come back. And I'm pissy as hell about it, but I come back. We get there and she's hammered. And she's a bad drunk. And like one of my, my 2 deal breakers are bad drunks and bad kissers.
Oof, wait.
Yeah. She comes out, I can already tell. We're walking on the sidewalk. She drops in, I love you on me. And sometimes the things you love don't always love you back. The immortal words of Dolph Ziggler. And I'm like trying to talk about it, but of course she's drunk and it's just not working. And then we get into a fight at Joe's Pizza, which, if you know me, is like my worst nightmare. Like, I don't want to air like out grievances in public of any sort.
At Joe's fucking Pizza.
Joe's
Jesus
Pizza.
Lord.
Yeah. I drop her off at my friend's house with the pizza, and I'm like, I'm leaving. She goes to my friend's house and cries. We meet 2 days later. I say a line that has become infamous amongst my friends that has been quoted back to me when I told them this story. They couldn't believe it. And in retrospect, I have a lot of deep regret about saying this. It was objectively a mean thing to say. I break up with her and we talk about the I love you thing. And I say, I don't think I could ever love you. Which I understand now is wrong. Is like, you're like, yeah, we're laughing about it, but like it's don't do that. That's a very cold, callous thing to say to another human. Also, don't ask me my thought process at the time. I think I just wanted to be clean about it. But the thought process was poor. This is an audio medium, bro. You got to use your words.
I'm sorry. I'm
Dean
sorry.
is just flabbergasted, mouth agape, like staring everywhere but at the camera.
Listen. I've been mean and I can be petty, but I don't think anyone's ever told me I love you. And I said I don't think I can love somebody like you
I
to
didn't
their
say
face.
that. I mean, was it far off from that? No.
Did you? What? I just saying someone like you. I don't think I can love you. It's
Yeah.
like that is rough. That is therapy inducing level of words.
Yeah. Well, she did her own self therapy on it because we were actually in the same class at the time. And we were in the same studio class at the time, which is
Jack,
like a 6-hour all day class
Jack,
where
you
we
couldn't
sat
just tell
next to each
this.
other.
You couldn't just tell this girl maybe we just need some time apart. Maybe we need a break. No, you told her I can't love you, or I can't be in love with you.
I don't think I could
You
ever love you.
you told her that. Please don't tell me this is like mid semester. Like this girl had to figure this out for like the
Yeah, no,
rest
it's
of her.
mid semester.
Jesus Christ, Jack!
You know,
You you are someone's villain origin arc. You understand that you might like that is the epicenter of what creates a villain. That's like
I
you
think it's
created the
worse because I
Joker.
actually said too, I'm gonna be busy going to pro wrestling school, and like, so like now she's like coping with the fact like, so you're breaking up with me over pro wrestling, which was her exact quote. Which isn't true. Like, I wasn't breaking up with her over pro wrestling. It's like, this is just a thing. I mentioned many other things, but I don't knock her for focusing on the pro wrestling thing.
Oh my god! I want you to know this is the greatest story from a person who was training to be a pro wrestler I've ever heard in my fucking life.
And it didn't, wrestling school didn't work out either.
That's the funniest part.
We take some time apart. She's like, says to me, like, okay, like, I think like I still want to sit next to you in class.
Poor girl's
I don't want
heartbroken.
it to be weird. Like we're gonna be separate, but like we're
Right,
still gonna parallel each other, and like we can make something work.
right.
Um, I of course, she's like, I just want some space. And I go, okay, that's fair. I
Mm.
of course, that thing kicks in my brain that I just hate so much. Of I can make anything funny.
Oh fucking Christ!
And so I go to class, I sit down next to her, and I handed her a print up sheet that has the word some and then underneath a picture of space on it. And I go, here's some space.
Bro, what is Jack? What's your motherfucking malfunction?
I,
What is your motherfucking malfunction?
I thought it would break the ice. I thought, like, yeah, she'll giggle. She did not laugh.
No,
We'll like kick her feet up and sit in class together.
I want you to understand. There's twice where we have told stories in these 6 episodes where your comedy has backfired
Yeah,
in
I gotta stop.
in horrible manners.
I gotta stop, bro.
I just want to run this down because we gotta get to the intro soon because I'm looking
Yeah,
at how much time this is.
yeah. Well, there's a punchline to the story that's gonna lead us in.
Do the punchline and then I'm gonna do the recap after we do the intro.
Okay. So after this fucking catastrophe of a blow up, and I'll speed through a couple parts, but Lily comes back into my life to where we thought we would never like kind of see each other in that context again.
Uh-huh.
Like that we would never really date or hook up or anything.
Right.
Lily comes back into my life and we start talking and having a great time, and we do it differently this time. We go on dates, we talk for hours and hours on the phone. We try to keep like the sex separate,
Right.
and we actually end up making it work, and we get together and have and what ends up being um a nice prosperous relationship together.
Okay.
And after this, we started together, and then I went with something that seemed fresh and beautiful and new and had a nice coat of paint on it, but was ultimately a toxic environment for me to be in, and ended in a terrible explosion with a tried redemption period, only to explode again. I ended up back where I began, a more mature person who was capable of sustaining something. And with that all being said, let's talk about CM Punk.
Oh, for the love of fucking Christ. I can't fucking stand. Do the goddamn intro. Fuck you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wrestling with Wromance. I am your dating storyteller today. My name is Jack Simon. I have set up a impeccable, perfect allegory for the CM Punk situation. And with me today is
it's the co-host Kadeem Phillip, aka Life of Dean. And man, let me tell you, I was not expecting that allegory to lead into that. Oh boy.
That was our longest dating story. And
that was
by far the greatest setup to a punchline of my entire life.
I will give you this. That was a hell of a setup to a punchline. It was a story. It was a story. But it was a hell of a setup, man. First and foremost, let's get a few things off the docket. First of all, like, share, subscribe. Make sure that you can find us anywhere that you find your regular podcasts on Spotify, YouTube. If you want to hear more Jack stories, please make sure you like and subscribe because they just keep coming. They don't stop. They don't stop.
I thought you were. I was worried I was going to give it away.
No,
at certain points.
I'm not gonna lie. At the end, like the more mature person, the place where I wasn't healthy and everything, I was just like, this motherfucker's starting to sound like. And then once you said it, I was like, oh, you bastard.
You motherfucker. Yeah,
bastard.
I wore a lot of white t-shirts when I got back together with Lily, too. So if we remember last week, we both said no. We both said we don't think he's coming back.
We both did, honestly. And from the sound of it, it's not like it wasn't really solidly set up until the day of?
He didn't sign the contract until the day of.
Yeah.
But it seemed like they
agreed that week of. That week it came together.
Yeah. Which is seems to be the story with fucking every pro wrestling free agent I ever hear. The story is always he didn't sign the contract until that day. And frankly, it's probably because you don't see each other, the owner and pro wrestler don't see each other in person until the day of the fucking show.
Which makes total sense, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
the only one that seems to be set different was Ospreay, because it seemed like Ospreay was kind of in works for a while with AEW.
Yeah. I mean, I think they did it perfectly.
With
his return.
Punk's
return, yeah. His actual in-show return, because they teased it with is it gonna be Shinsuke Nakamura's opponent? And then it wasn't. And then it's is it gonna be Randy Orton isn't at the building yet? So it was CM Punk's gonna be feeling it, and then Randy Orton showed up.
Right.
So they were able to relieve the tension.
Yeah.
And the anticipation and make it the biggest surprise it possibly could be. Because by the time he showed up, everybody had let their guard down.
Pretty much, because the closing credits and everything, the little tags and shit was up.
Triple H classic.
You want to talk about how you feel about it first? Or you want me to?
How I feel about it on what level?
In general, how do you look at it? How do you look at this return? How do you look at him being in WWE? Is it something that interests you? What maybe you interest in? Things of that nature.
I'm going to actually try to watch Monday Night Raw. If he's on SmackDown, I watch SmackDown more. I mean, I haven't watched Raw in years. I'm going to try to watch Monday Night Raw. I'm going to try to watch more of SmackDown.
Right.
It's undeniably interesting.
Yeah.
From that perspective, it's fuck yeah, I want to watch. And then from the bigger picture, people more news outlets reported on him returning here than when he returned to AEW. And news outlets were reporting, BBC reports CM Punk is back. BBC.
I would say because with the way it was set up in AEW is different than this. So, Chris Van Vliet, right? He wrote which one's bigger, the AEW or the WWE. And I say, hey, you don't get the WWE if you don't have the AEW.
Sure, but it's still
So,
WWE.
but the reason why I don't think it is bigger is okay. I can't explain this by explaining how I feel. I can't explain to me why it is like this. And I want to say this before I get into my caveat of whatever the hell is about to come out my mouth. If you are a fan who is excited for this, you have every right to. And this is not me trying to poo poo on anyone's excitement. This is not me trying to lessen anybody's enjoyment of it. I'm a wrestling fan, right? I enjoy wrestling. Now, was WWE always my first place for wrestling? We will come to the WCW review, like WCW, ECW, those are my first things. But I'm a wrestling fan. I want people to just enjoy wrestling and be happy for wrestling. When it comes to this CM Punk return, I have mixed feelings. And I have feelings where I'm also going to say, I don't know how I feel right now. And my mixed feelings comes as this. I can be a fan of somebody, but I can't be an apologist. I still have to call you out for your bullshit when you do bullshit, when you speak bullshit, when you are a hypocrite. You name me for any musician I've ever been a fan of, I'm the same way.
Okay.
When I look at CM Punk, and Seth Rollins cut this at a live show last night about, I'm not going to waste my breath on someone who's tried to tear this place down for 8 years. Seth ain't wrong. Steph's not wrong. CM Punk is taking any shot to shit on WWE when he could. Even up until a lot of people forget this in the press conference last year when they asked him about MJF after he went on his brawl out rant, and he was just like, sooner or later he's going to have to understand he has to mend fences here. Things aren't always greener on the other side. I was also there when he told MJF, you go ahead and main event night 3 of a buy one get one free pay-per-view thing where you get released.
He's
Hold on.
He's working.
But you've also said you called him out for their blood money deals with Saudi Arabia.
That's undeniable.
You've talked about people not properly getting compensated from the network and how that will mess with people's pay. And you've talked about all these other things in length with WWE. You've had the lawsuit for defamation, I believe, with the medical staff person who still works there. You've had all these history of things in these like 8 to 9 year spans. And also speaking about just never wanting to step back into that place. And the thing I loved about CM Punk, which felt so punk rock, you said punk rock earlier, I think before we got here. He spoke up about things. He spoke about the system that he didn't care for. He spoke about the system that he had a disliking for. Down with the system, not messing with the man, all this. So when I see you go back to WWE, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not seeing you go back to WWE because your contract ended. It's different than Cody. Cody was a free agent. Jade was a free agent. You know what I mean? Your behavior in AEW is why you're not in AEW. Like, you are a man that's about 44, 45, fighting a 26-year-old because you couldn't take how you couldn't be a vet. You couldn't be someone with the maturity to just talk about it.
Who's the 26-year-old?
Like 26, 27, Jack Perry.
I gotcha.
Like, you couldn't handle that. The issue with you had to bring that up at a press conference next to the boss of the company. Like, you had to do certain things where it's just like, if CM Punk just handled one or two of these things differently, it feels different. Then also for me, this is your third return in 2 years. It don't hit the same for me. This is your third return in 2 years. And it don't feel the same to me because that first return was 7 years in the making. It was 7 years of us wanting to just see you wrestle. It was just 7 years of just wanting to see what you would look like in this place. And I'm not going to lie. I really did love a lot of the shit he did in AEW. I loved him in Darby as his return match. I loved him.
So do you mind if I cut you off? Or do you want to
Yeah,
finish?
go ahead.
Or
Oh
do you
well,
want to
let me just get this
derail your
last part.
train of
Let
thought?
me
Okay.
just
Yeah.
get these last train of thought. I loved him in Darby as his return match because it did tell an interesting story. I I'm a little upset that we'll never get the close off to him and MJF right now. I love the dog collar match. I was there for the dog collar match. I was there. I love the promos. I love the whole thing, the leading up, the story building of that.
Yeah. Will you be my Valentine is a banger of a fucking line.
Not just that, but busting him up with the MJF busting him with the ring and just saying, "You stupid old man." The
Yes,
great,
that was also
the
amazing.
bleeding out.
Listen,
Him and Eddie. I wanted so bad a part two to him and Eddie. There's so many things that was left on that table. Him and just Brian. I don't like. There's a bunch of stuff that was there, and the
yeah,
issue with it is just I look at it, and here's the thing: if he wherever he goes on TV and cuts as a promo, right? Like behind the belt, people. This is before Raw, but whatever he does cut, it feels ingenuine. It feels disingenuous. It doesn't feel genuine because we got we got the whole I couldn't get healthy in the place that made me sick in the first place. We got all of that already. Like when it happened, right? I was watching live and I was just like, and then it just the feeling just instantly left, and I was just like, oh, okay, that's
so
how I feel.
I have no feeling towards CM Punk. I can understand having emotional ties to the character, the person, the return, to the departure, to the return again.
Right.
I have none of that for whatever reason, whether or not like CM Punk was never my favorite wrestler, whether or not
Yeah.
I wasn't terribly interested in pro wrestling when he dropped the pipe bomb.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't do like I'm able to be objective in this
Right.
situation, and that's not in a superior way. It's just I can be indifferent. And when I look at like the size of the return, what return means most to me, like
Mm-hmm.
what it does mean to me is WWE is an objectively bigger company.
Yeah.
And so him returning to WWE plus, it being a bigger company, plus that it's thought, people thought CM Punk would return to wrestling before they thought he would return to WWE. So
Which is
plus
true.
the shock of him returning to WWE, plus the actual reveal itself, the way it was executed makes it a bigger return to me. Like news outlets were reporting CM Punk returns to wrestling, which is such a shit down CM Punk's throat. Not CM Punk, which is such a shit down AEW's throat. And for the emotion I have here is much more tied up with AEW because I love that company. I was there from the beginning. I have really great memories going all the way back to All In, the first All In
Right.
Chicago, where I bought an extra ticket. I was able to get 2 tickets.
Funny enough, me and Jack were both there, and we had never met at that point.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought my dad, who
Yeah.
took me to my first wrestling event ever at Hartford for a live event.
Right.
And I was able to bring my dad to Chicago, and we had a great weekend together. And I brought him to the Grabs, and I brought him to All In, and he actually came away not a fan. My dad's never going to be a pro wrestling fan, but he came away with great admiration for what was going on.
Yeah.
Like the revolution. Like I heard him talking on like the phone to his friends about like the story that was happening here. He's like, yeah, these guys, they got rejected by WWE, so they made their own company. They made it happen themselves. My dad loves that shit.
Yeah.
And so to hear him excited about anything to do with wrestling meant a lot to me, and it made me emotionally tied in to the success of these people forever.
Right.
And now to see AEW not only cold, but it's heading in what's my opinion the wrong direction creatively. And probably the most, not probably, definitely I would say the most egg on its face that it's ever been in.
I'm not
It,
gonna say they're cold though. I like like I'm not gonna say they're the coldest that they've been because I would say probably before Full Gear they were colder. I don't think they're cold right now because all right,
ticket
13
sales are down,
13,000. I'm not
ratings are
actually.
down.
If you look at their last few weeks, they're beating some of their markets of the last times they was there. They had more people at Full Gear than the last time they was at Kia Forum. They had more
Okay,
people in Wintrust than they had the last time. Like
but
they're
exceptions prove the rule.
web.
Exceptions prove the rule.
You can say exceptions,
These
but
are outliers.
listen, this technically is financially their biggest year still. Like we could say they're cold by perception. And this is the issue. This is the thing.
I mean,
I
you
hate
also have Wembley propping that up.
yeah, but still, even if we're saying they're cold, we have to look at the whole year in totality.
Okay.
If we're looking at it from a perception wise, is it their best time of perception? No. I would still say it's not their worst, because I would say worst perception was really coming out of Brawl Out.
I
Out of
mean,
Brawl Out, it really looked poisonous.
I
It
think
looked I would say out of Brawl Out because you can't get worse than your own world champion disrespecting the whole company at a press conference.
well, their own world champion just left the company after fighting with one of their young stars
Well, he
and
wasn't.
joined their other company that he swore
That's why I
never to
said
join. And I
two.
think, here, go ahead.
No, but this is what I'm saying. Even if we want to say Punk was real worse, we know who the champion was. It was MJF because we already knew that was a storyline. You can't have
Yeah.
nothing worse than Punk main eventing, Punk disrespecting, and then Punk fighting all within a span of 2 hours. You can't have nothing worse than that happening. And then, like, to me right now, here's how I look at it. You have the tournament going on. The tournament's a good booking thing right now. I think you're getting a lot of strong promos. You're getting a lot of strong matches. You're getting what AEW has been, which is matches, character work. These are things that are coming out of that. I just sent you guys the. I mean, but that's what AEW was mostly focused on, and I think one with MJF a little sideline and probably not going to be taking up. Like he's going to be around, but he won't be too crazy focused because of this whole hip injury. It's like up until World's End, like he'll be on TV, but maybe some of the other stuff that people wasn't there for gets dialed back because he has to recover for a little bit. Like he has to be healthy enough for World's End. So now we're going to see a lot of matches with MJF for the next couple of weeks, but I think we're going to see a lot more predication on this stuff. But also Swerve and Hangman making news outlets last week. We forget that they were on news outlets for their death match, which is kind of crazy in today for them to get some notoriety. Like that was the hottest thing going up until this week was the discussion of is that death match too violent? I think can they turn around the ship? Yeah, I don't think
Oh, I
AEW.
don't think like it's over.
No, it's far from over.
It's not over. I mean, there's certain aspects that. So the reason why I say this is like the darkest days to be an AEW fan is the signings that WWE have made, the luring of free agents away from AEW.
Mm-hmm.
It is like really an unholy trinity. They each represent something that was supposed to be integral to AEW's identity.
Right.
In the case of Cody Rhodes, part of the elite,
Yeah.
and who's the company is literally fucking named after.
Yeah.
Who's helped start it, helped launch a revolution, helped show that there is a world, that there can be a world of professional wrestling away from WWE. Not only, and he was the spokesperson for that group. He was the elite's diplomat.
Yeah.
He's the one who did the All In at the end promo. Who spoke the most. They all spoke, but he spoke the most. He's the one who made that bet with Dave Meltzer.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who at least publicly led the charge.
Yeah.
And now with WWE. 2, you have Jade Cargill, who represented
Future.
the future. We're going to be a place that cultivates young talent. We're going to be a place that helps grows them, helps teach them, and launches us into the future so that we can compete with WWE and that we can make transcendent megastars. When Jade Cargill left, she was in WWE. She was like very explicit when she's like, yeah, if I want to be like a big star, this is where I need to be. Like WWE is the place to be for professional wrestling, for not for entertainment. I can't remember his exact quote.
It was something like entertainment. I want to say.
Yeah. And then CM Punk, who, you know, a lot of people this week have been tracing back the beginning of AEW to the pipe bomb.
Yeah.
Where he shouted out New Japan Pro Wrestling. He shouted out Ring of Honor. He shouted out Colt Cabana. Started this journey of a lot of fans checking out a world outside of WWE and breeding and feeding a hunger for an alternative.
Yeah.
That timeline begins with that pipe bomb.
It does.
And to see him, and so to see an alternative be born off of this catalyst, and then for that catalyst, for CM Punk to abandon that alternative, or not abandon, not make it work, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not saying abandon, but continue.
And go back to WWE is so depressing to me. It feels just such a kick in the shins for like a company I hold near and dear, and also like subjectively, I've hated the past couple episodes. Like I hated the Christian segment on Wednesday.
Let's not get into this because you almost thought I was gonna rip your throat out over the Zoom. I was gonna rip your throat out. That was in a bad move.
It was too long. It was too hokey. It didn't make a lot of sense. Like Edge hitting as like a good guy, like hitting Conchero on an 18-year-old boy in front of his weeping mother.
You mean the 18-year-old boy who was about to let his mom get her brain scrambled in front of him?
But still, like that's like a good
that's
guy.
Neither here or there. Let's just
no, because it's relevant and it feels really sports entertainment-y.
I don't think so, because if you tell me you're gonna break my neck, like that to me don't feel sports entertainment-y, like compared to like that feels like, all right, when Raven and Tommy Dreamer had an issue in ECW and they took each other out on like the people that was in their group, it happened like even in front of people that they cared about. Like these are things that have happened in other ways. I just think it looks sports entertainment, but it's also like a thing of like this like on Collision when he attacked Luchasaurus, like it just showed like, oh, this is a building of a blood feud. Like you mentioned my kids, you mentioned my wife, you mentioned breaking my neck in front of my kids and them having to look at your dad and be like, oh, my dad used to be somebody until someone ended his career. I don't have a beef with him taking the concerto out on Nick Wayne. Does it make it look like he just doesn't give a fuck at this point to do it in front of his mom? Sure. But I don't think it's like, oh, that's WWE like no.
It just feels like poorly defined characters. But anyways, it's that, and then of course the promos of like of Adam Cole making peanut butter and jellies for Roderick Strong, that sort of shit. It feels AEW is no longer an alternative. They're WWE light.
All right.
And that has never worked. It will never work because you're always going to be looked upon as like a poor man's WWE if you don't offer something different. And it's also like not what I've signed up for. It to me, it's indicative of a loss of identity for AEW.
Here's my thing, and I've always said, and I've said this on our lovely chat multiple times, and I've said this to nauseum with many different things. I can understand people not liking that, and I get it. Cool. It doesn't take that much to change that. The simple change is simple. MJF's title reign just has to end. MJF's title reign ends. The Adam shit comes out of focus. It goes back to its own little pocket. All this other shit changes.
I mean, I don't think it needs to
Eventually,
go back to its own pocket. I think it needs
I
to
think it do. I think it does because this has always been MJF. The debonair singing shit with him and Jericho. The all this Adam shit. This has always been within his character. His character has always been, but we just never got his character.
Yeah, but you also had like the whole CM Punk thing was completely devoid of these like Spence Sports Entertainment
because he was doing it with certain people that would do it. CM Punk ain't doing it.
Like that shit popped up once. Like the
Right.
Debonair thing popped up once, and it went great,
Okay.
and then they moved on.
If we're looking at MJF's character of low hanging fruit, low hanging comedy, getting to the smallest demeanor, Metheny, school shooter Darby, incel
none of
Darby.
that is sports entertainment.
But this is what I'm saying. All of that
None
is
of
just
that is WWE light.
yes, that is all rock low hanging fruit jokes. You telling me that's not even tofu?
It's not WWE light. Like MJF is not calling.
Let me tell you what I'm saying.
Jr.'s mother Metheny, or
but what
Darby
I'm saying
Allin,
is this:
school shooter.
see, but
Monday
this is what I'm saying. He does it within a AEW way. Him as trying to be a babyface because we've never seen MJF as a babyface. When's the last time we seen him as a babyface outside of this, where he's not trying to be?
Okay, sure.
So it's like he's doing low hanging fruit babyface shit. We've all seen that. He has been. That's all his comedy has been. His comedy is to make fun of his whole thing has been to make fun of opponents. But how do you do that in a babyface manner? It's going to come off corny. And that's what his character has come off of. It doesn't feel right. And as someone who loves MJF, his babyface work does need some work on the mic. Like as a babyface, it takes a little bit more to get behind him and want to watch his shit. He works better as a fucking heel when it comes down to him on promos. He does not click to me as much as a babyface. To me,
more about like his championship reign has just gone stale rather than he doesn't work as a babyface.
I think it's both because I think honestly, I never had an issue with heel MJF. I never had an issue with it. And once he turned babyface, it kind of wasn't
anybody fucking did.
Right. But once he started doing this babyface run, it kind of didn't feel right.
Felt fine. I liked it.
I would say after All In, I kind of was just like, Like once we got past All In,
I feel like that All In match is polarizing.
I feel like everything up until All In is polarizing because a month before you had him and Adam Cole versus FTR, and it was like one of the bigger matches on Collision. Legit, a month to that date. Like it was July 30th. All In is August 27th, if I'm not mistaken. And it was still hot. I do think up until that match, that is when everybody was just like, oh, there's something we ain't liking about this. When you come away from All In, don't get me wrong. In ring, MJF's been incredible.
Yeah. There's no doubt.
We can't question that. I don't need some of these other storylines and the fact that it's interweaving. Like that's the one thing I think bothers people the most is AEW's never been interweaving storylines throughout a whole night. They'll maybe do one thing or 1-2, but you're not going to see 3-4 segments of something in one show in the past. It'll be maybe 1 to 2. Like maybe somebody be arguing, then you see them leave the building. Simple as that. But to have it like 4 or 5 segments of like how you said, knocking on the doors and looking for people and this and that goes through the whole night. It doesn't feel like AEW. It feels like some other shit. It feels like we're doing a comedy special.
And I think that the creative coupled with these superstars leaving feels just like ripping the fucking soul out of AEW.
I don't feel
And
like it's ripping
how
the
Tony
soul out.
Khan as a booker doesn't know like which way to go with it. And it
I
feels like all of like the haters, what they said about Tony Khan, that he won't be able to be a boss, that he's too nice, he can't control the locker room, is coming true.
I think
And it just
two
makes me
things
very
to that.
worried about the future.
I think two things to that. Very simple. I think you need to. There's a change that I think there's obviously a change. Again, I say there's few changes that need to be made from a visual standpoint for TV. I do think MJF has to drop his title. I can't see it
Yes.
going. It has to. Like it's time. Like it's a time for a fresh coat. One, we ain't never had a title reign go this long, and then two, it's like it's at the point now where it's kind of like, all right, we've reached our end. Because it's like if we take out, and it's also perspective wise, because I know people who was not bothered by the shit from Full Gear. I know people who like watch both who are like, oh, that's cool, that's fine, it doesn't bother me. But also at the same point, you didn't need that. Like the meat of that match, like just the bell to bell of that match, it's a really good fucking match. It did not need this whole leg injury bullshit. Like
It
none of that's
definitely did
needed.
not.
Like like if you just go bell to bell, like I've
That
watched the
whole
match.
build was
It
atrocious.
was because Jay White didn't even feel important.
I think Jay White felt important, but like he walked around with MJF's title for like 6 weeks. Like, and then there was the leg injury. It just took, it was
It did too
WWE,
much.
it was WWE light booking, where
It was
instead of like
yeah.
here's a match of people you want to see talk at one another and wrestle one another,
Yeah.
and here it is, go. Instead, it took 15 fucking turns
Where it
between
didn't
here
need
and
to.
there.
Like it made a swerve when there was unnecessarily where there was no need to make a swerve.
There was
And
swords fucking everywhere.
and it didn't need to, but that's the thing. It doesn't take a lot to get back to it. I don't think like here's the thing. To me, right now when I look at AEW, to me I don't see them like it's the darkest of age. I think a bright possibility is right there. I think you have Julia having the TBS title is a good thing. A young upstart 22-year-old
Agreed.
who's a star. I think Tony Storm having that belt is a good thing. I think we just need to see what else is going on.
What goes on with Tony,
So,
because there have been some, like when it started, it was super cool, it was creative, it was fun, and like since then has just devolved into WWE light
so
overwrought nonsense.
some people were saying they don't know why it showed up on TV that way, but they was like they was actually people were into it in Chicago. But they just don't know why it came across on TV that way. So like there's videos of people into the sex. So
Yeah,
we
no,
got
I'm
to
not
see.
saying people. Yeah, no, I
But
guess I did say at the time, like that crowd was fucking silent.
yeah, but
But we'll see.
also I think you have that. I'm very interested on what we're going to do with certain other divisions. I like the fact that we have the Continental Classic because I think there's a lot of stories
Yeah,
that's coming out of that. I
that's
think
that's
there's
yes,
there. I
love it.
think your major thing is your champion got changed.
Yes, I do think
That's it.
it should be. We should. I'm gonna make a quick comment here about
Hmm.
how both men's single Ring of Honor champions have elected to just give up their championship in the past month. But
I will say this, and also then the Shibata shit came out of nowhere. So then it's just like that shit kind of threw off everything. The Ring of Honor
I
thing
forgot
makes
about
it.
the championship. I was just referring to television and
Yeah, but then Shibata has a personal
yeah,
thing, so now he's back in Japan. I will say this: if you want to do something dope, you better main event Final Battle with your woman. You better get Ronda Rousey in that motherfucker and do Athena versus Ronda Rousey.
It's
That's your best thing right there.
so fucking good. That would slap so hard.
Right there. It's the solution for that is simple. It's right there.
Yeah.
I think a ladder tag team championship match. Simple. Like their fixes are there. The thing for me is just do it.
In the words of Bill Parcells, the table is set. Are you hungry enough?
Exactly.
But speaking of championships as props and unnecessary swerves and companies crumbling under the weight of themselves, let's talk about WCW.
Wow. That was a hell of a fucking segue. A hell of a fucking. So, for the people who don't know, if you're just seeing this episode for the first, or if you're just seeing us for the first time, a couple of weeks back, Jack had me watch death matches because Jack is into death matches. I'm not usually my thing, even though I've probably watched Swerve and Hangman about 4 times as we speak. Maybe going into 5 times by the end of this week. But my first company that I got into was WCW. So I picked 4 matches for Jack. Unfortunately, Jack couldn't find one match because it's like fucking digging through, like finding a needle in a haystack.
Yeah. So we picked 5, but I was able to watch 4.
Right. So Jack is going to give us a review of the matches that he saw.
I was a little upset that I didn't get one Goldberg match. So
I figured you had seen Goldberg DDP.
Yes.
Okay, so there we go. That's his best match.
So besides Goldberg matches, I've watched probably just a handful of WCW matches ever.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the first Vince Russo WCW Monday Night Nitro episode as a punishment.
Fuck that man. Fuck him.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
And then besides that, on like YouTube, like I've seen like Eddie versus Ray.
Right.
And like maybe 1 or 2 others. And then there's every Goldberg match. I don't know if it still is, but every Goldberg match was on YouTube at one point. And like,
it probably is.
I like fell into that rabbit hole and like watched like so many.
I mean, WWE has this lovely thing of whenever somebody re-signs with them, they put all their stuff back up. Like
WWE uploaded.
Really?
Someone else had the tapes and like uploaded. I'm telling you, from the first one, like through the William Regal, like up to the championship, like all.
Yeah. I thought about sending you that William Regal match, but I'm like, we're looking for my favorite matches, not matches that make me sad.
Yeah. But first match I watched, Billy Kidman versus Rey Mysterio, Nitro. It was March 15th, 1999.
Yeah.
First, it starts with them talking about NWO on commentary, and it's always flabbergasting to me that story was still going on, and they're still talking about what's gonna happen next.
NWO never died properly. It it was like Venom. Just waits to give you cancer. To give you cancer.
Well, just before or after Ray dated Jennifer Aniston.
That never happened, but I think this is after the rumor.
Yeah.
Fun fact, if I'm not mistaken, this is unmasked Rey Mysterio, right?
Yeah, this is unmasked Rey Mysterio.
But this is the old Nitro set, right?
I don't know. Because I don't know the new Nitro set.
Okay. But there was a part where, for you'll enjoy this. He used to actually have a storyline where he was dating Tori Wilson.
Good. Love it. No. Working, baby. And the only other unmasked Rey Mysterio match I've ever seen was Eddie versus Ray versus CM Punk, actually. And I think it was an IWA in the mid.
Yeah, it was IWA.
First, it starts like Ray hits a drop kick to a crossbody counter that was like so clean. Like where the timing of that is so impossible. And it like reminded me like what I think Ray does really well is like sell his high flying moves like even into like the counters that he does, like where his whole offense revolves around that, where when he hits them and when he gets hit by them, he understands the magnitude that like high risk high reward should carry, whereas like, some people like it's said on commentary all the time but it's not actually felt in the matches.
Like he sells it like, ooh, that took a lot out of me.
Yeah. And it has like that aura of unpredictability that I think WCW prided itself on.
Mhm.
The crowd was super into it. What kind of fucked me up was nothing about Billy Kidman really excites me.
Mm.
And Ray without the mask is really interesting because you can tell he's not used to using his face.
Yeah.
Like the body language is impeccable, but like, you know, he's trying to like contort his face, but he's never quite clear
Hmm.
what is supposed to be going on. And then they finish with a bulldog. Which like for me, Rey's Mysterio mask match was really funny to see. Like when do you know when he started using his 619?
When he came to WWE.
Really?
Yeah, that was never a finisher for him.
I thought that
It
was
was
like he had always done that shit.
619 was never a finisher. Actually, it was the Dragon Rana pin. That was always usually his like the Hurricane Rana, Dragon Rana pin, like where he'll either like jump, springboard, and Hurricane Rana into a pin. That was usually his finisher. Or the Bulldog became more of like he would use it. He would hit it from the top rope if he was in cruiserweight
Yeah, that's
matches
what
in
he was.
WCW. But he never used the 619 that one when he was in WCW. Or he might have done it in a match. It was never. It was a transitional move.
What a different time. What a different
Hmm.
like psychology.
Yeah,
But you
it
know,
seems. Yeah, it's
solid
interesting.
match. Crowd was into it. I'm gonna give a score, and I'm also gonna use this time to plug my Aspen Times movie reviews, where I give out of 10 in a very let's call it precise manner. So this
Divisive.
would be
Divisive.
precise and divisive.
Hmm.
5.4 out of 10.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, solid. Nothing really like it's not a match I would watch again. Certainly wasn't
Oh, you're
bad.
not
Crowd was into
kidding
it.
me.
That deserves credit. Um, cool, neat.
No.
Which then brings us to Eddie Guerrero versus Chris Jericho at Fall Brawl 1997.
Right.
I actually did the math on this one, and I feel like this would give everybody good clarity. This happened 9 months after I was born.
Wow. Holy shit.
Yeah. Um,
Way to make me feel old. God damn, Jack. I was a fucking first grader.
give, like perspective on like WCW, like how like it's a far away land for me. Long
Yeah.
time, long ago, in a land far away.
Wait, that means you were only 4 when they got sold to
Yeah.
WWE. Jesus.
I have no memory of WCW. I have no understanding of it. I have no
Mm.
knowledge of it. Like for me,
Okay.
it almost doesn't seem real. It feels like a company somebody made up, like that happened in the history of pro wrestling.
That makes sense.
Mhm. White meat babyface Chris Jericho is so fucking funny to watch. Like speaking of like old shit, like
Yeah.
just like barely above generic white meat babyface Chris Jericho
Yeah.
is so fucking hilarious to me because like he's still a potential wrestler.
Right.
Like you can see how good he can be, but like Eddie's
Oh,
definitely leading the match, and like Jericho is more uncertain when he is in control. He's less decisive with his movements.
I
And he's
should have
not
sent you.
utilizing that in between time, which like now is all he does. Like in
Yeah.
between like moves, Jericho, like that's everything he does now. Like he'll hit a move and then he'll play the crowd or sell something or like use it as a setup.
I
Whereas
forget if
he
it's
had no understanding of that.
I
Or
forget
no.
if it's Bash at the Beach '98, but it is like deep in heel run Chris Jericho versus returning from injury babyface Rey Mysterio. And I was like, now that I realize like how much you really don't like, I was like, fuck, I should have just sent you that match. I should have just sent you that match because that is like Chris Jericho has figured out the heel shit. Like Chris Jericho has figured out the heel. But continue.
And you know, Jeremy Allen White, do you know who that is? He's from Shameless and he's like the lead character in The Bear.
Yes.
He's gonna be in the Iron Claw.
Yeah.
And he had a line recently about
Pro
like
wrestling, I think.
pro wrestling and what matters the most in these matches is what happens between the moves.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Chavo Guerrero,
Yeah.
is the teacher for the Iron Claw, said like Jeremy Owens, like, I'll hit the move or the couple moves, and he's like, oh, thank God, it's time to take a break. And then Chavo was like, no, like that's the most important time.
Yeah.
And Eddie Guerrero did that better than
Anybody.
And on top of being able to hit these moves better than most, he did those the space between the notes better than everybody. Like the match starts and right away he runs right out of the ring in like in an exciting way, like to where you whip your head around to watch him. And it's like such a fun idea that only would have Eddie would have the creativity to do. And then he, like, Chris Jericho hits a snapmare and like he calls the ref over with his finger to like point out like that there was a hair that he pulled my hair when he did the snapmare, is like such an exquisite fucking touch of brilliance.
Yeah.
And he leads this match through those sort of movements. And it feels like the toughest thing with cruiserweight matches, I think, is to make it feel like a struggle.
Right.
And they achieved it here.
Yeah.
And I'll give this one an 8.8 out of 10.
Funny enough, I always say WCW Eddie's my favorite heel. My favorite heel of all time is WCW Eddie. Because WCW Eddie he has this way of just looking like he doesn't care when he comes to the ring, especially when he first comes back as this cruiserweight champion. And he just has this way of just like leading these matches. That's Halloween Havoc. That's the same time of Halloween Havoc with him and Ray. Like all those times are in that heel run. In this match too. So it's like, yeah, you said 8.8?
Yeah, it's my highest rated match of the bunch.
Okay, that gives me, I like that.
And then we go to Bret Hart versus Chris Benoit, a rare gem of a Bret Hart WCW match.
A good one of his best WCW matches.
It's an Owen Hart tribute match. It was right after he had passed, and you can like see how detached Bret is from the present, like when he's walking down the aisle, and you can see. I wrestle because I've always wrestled, and it's what my brother wanted me to do, but fuck.
Yeah.
And he uses that. He uses those mannerisms, and he uses that, like, the little ticks to help push the match, whether he wanted to or not.
Right.
And there's, like, you can really feel the struggle during the match. Like how much Bret really loves the struggle. And this one was interesting because it really is, it's a 3-act play.
Yeah.
And what Bret Hart, I think, is best at is that structure of a match. You have the first act, which is chain wrestling, and it's not like a classic chain wrestling. Well, they're trying to feel each other out. They're trying to put each other away without brutality.
Yeah.
Because they're friends and it's a tribute match. And then the second act, they bring out the heavy artillery, and it happens like as soon as like Benoit goes for a submission. All right. Like a heavy submission. It's like, all right, fuck, I guess we're really gonna hit each other. Then they do a kitchen sink, which Benoit sells beautifully, spinning away, which like I've never really seen before. Dive to the outside, whip into the rope, a hard Irish whip into the ropes. They're starting to up the ante, and they're moving away from it being a lighter match, like friends just trying to see who the better man is. And the crowd popped at that kitchen sink, and it seems like WCW had a smarter crowd.
Yeah.
Than WWE ever did.
Because WWE never really had WWE had in-ring, but you have to think they were more TV based. Like they weren't really as much of like people know certain moves and seeing certain things. You know what I mean? Like
I would never see a WWE crowd pop for a kitchen sink in a good sell of a kitchen sink.
WCW had more like because you gotta remember, like, even though like they had the main event picture, most of their matches in the show was the workhorse type of like matches of like you give the cruiserweights, you give like the people like the Chris Benoit's and the Bretts, their matches, and then you do the Hogan match at the end.
Yeah. And then the third act is introduced with both of them going for their finishing submission, which they do a couple near falls, and then that's that. It's structured impeccably with timing, moves for each act. Just a really solid match. Brett is selling not just pain but anguish. Is a hard thing to notice, but he's working it into the match. The way, and I also say for skiing that like skiing is a combination of micro movements.
Yeah.
And that's how Bret Hart wrestles.
Yeah.
He never he does too much, like a shoulder tackle. He's not just running into him, but he's running through him. And he makes these micro movements feel larger within the context of the match.
Right.
And this one I gave a 7.7 out of 10.
Okay.
And then I wanted to end here with the world title match, Sting versus DDP. And this is like the most of what I imagine WCW matches being. Like when I use my imagination of the limited I've actually seen, this is what I think of what a WCW match is. Colorful, heavy on crowd work, unstructured, rapid. You get like a silly spot of Sting doing like a headbutt into DDP's nuts. And then you have like a weird stipulation leading in where it's like, I think DDP won a 4 corners match, whatever the fuck that is, for the championship.
This is Russo time.
This is Russo time. I think this is actually my first WCW dark face paint Sting match. And I've never quite that I've seen. Yeah.
Like Crow Sting?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I never quite got the hubbub of Sting. And now I get it. Boy, that dude moves fast. Like that Stinger splash in the corner.
When he turns it up. When he turns it up, he turns it up.
Yeah. And I've seen like earlier Sting, like Surfer Boy Sting, and I thought cool, like he's good. But
that's also when he didn't know. That's the interesting thing about Surfer Sting. He still was new.
Yeah.
When he was early into the Surfer gimmick.
It was, and I think him and DDP are perfect for one another. Like I could really see the chemistry, and despite the intensity, like it never felt rushed.
Yeah.
And the crowd was into it from the beginning, but they built it so well that like Sting and DDP had them peaking at the end, right at the end. And it's a quick ending, like a quick ending that you wouldn't see nowadays, like no unnecessary dramatics. They're not like sticking to spots that they have to get in.
Yeah.
Sticking to like spots that they like. Once they feel the crowd is at their peak, they take it right home. Get them right where you want them, and then finish it off. Sting ends the match quickly. It feels cathartic. It feels euphoric. I gave it an 8.1 out of 10.
So let me tell you, I love that match. I think that's one of Sting's better matches. That's not him and Ric Flair. But I also hate that match. And let me tell you why. He loses the title later that night.
Wait, hang on. No, wait. What?
That's the opening match of that show.
That's the opening match?
And he loses the title that night. Can you guess who he loses the title to?
I don't want to. I don't like this game anymore.
Welcome to Russo world.
This is all like, I guess it's like also like, yeah, this is what I imagined when I imagined WCW.
I told you I was going to give you a full plethora of WCW.
I thought this was the main event. Oh no!
If I'm not mistaken, this is the opening match.
Who
but
does he lose the title to?
I'll let you take a guess.
Is it Vince Russo?
Nope.
Is it DDP?
Yep.
He loses it back to DDP
in a 4-man match. So he has a fatal 4-way at the end of the night. Where, if I'm not mistaken, it was him, Kevin Nash, Goldberg, and DDP.
What was like the story of like why?
I'll be honest with you, Jack. I've repressed this whole thing. Like, it's like I repressed this to the point it could give me a tumor. So it's like, to remember this, it takes a lot. But he did lose the match. He did lose the belt that night. It. Here's the thing. I love that match. I love the tombstone spot the most. Like the kind of like back and forth, like reverse into the tombstone. Reverse. It's a great match to me. That is Sting in the late '90s, early 2000s. Like I think of Sting, and I was a big Sting fan. That is Sting. You know what I mean? Like that is him. Like that energy, that running into the corner, Stinger splash, fucking just wild man. But yeah, he lost the belt that night, and it was
like,
weird.
It's great.
In a vacuum, it's amazing, but it's also one of those things where I hate that because I just remember the night where I was just like, I don't know. Like as a 9-year-old, I had to look at this like a 9, 10-year-old and be like, do I really want to keep watching this?
Which such a tough moment as a child. And the crowd is so into his victory too.
Because Sting, how can I explain? Sting is the WCW guy.
Yeah.
He was the guy during that time he never left.
Yeah.
Because as long as WCW was up and running, he never left. I
The
feel like I just
go into it.
Yeah.
And it's just like I said, euphoric, cathartic. It's just like, hey, here's a boy.
That is why when people say, "Oh, AEW is like WCW," I'm like, no, they're not, because they're not doing this.
Yeah, they haven't gotten there yet.
They're not. They wouldn't do this. I can't even see them doing this to like fuck over the babyface that everybody just popped for winning the title. Do the confetti.
Not giving the people what they want and then taking it away.
Doing the confetti, how AEW does, clean it up and be like, tonight you're gonna lose it in a 4-way. That is when I tell you, Jack, it is a wrap. I'm closing the door on my wrestling fandom.
And Sting looks so like genuinely happy to win it.
Yeah.
Oh God. I'm gonna go be sad the rest of my day now, knowing that this is now you've made me interact with it. Like I knew it exists, but it was only in the abstract before.
Welcome to my 24 years later, Jack. Welcome to what I've had to deal with, and it's been on my heart. That's why when people say, "Oh, AEW turned to WCW," no, the fuck it's not. You don't know pain. You don't know the suffering. You don't know the suffering I went through as a Sting fan watching that night. Mind you, watch the show started it. Sting won the championship. I'm elated. I switched to WWE for an hour. I come back and I see DDP walking out with the fucking title. You don't know pain like I know pain. Did I tell you I hate Vince Russo? I hate Vince Russo.
Yeah, that's tough. Oh boy, the drizzling shit.
But before we head out, because we are nearing the end, there's a section we did not talk about. Now, again, I've said I don't know how I feel about Punk being in WWE. That doesn't mean I'm not going to watch, right? That doesn't mean I'm not going to look to see what happens. But who is his first feud? What do you think is the feuds? What do you think he does in the main?
Just
quick. Like, let's keep this 5 minutes.
like, who are we matching him up with?
Yeah, like who do you see? I'll see what I see. What do you think is his Mania match? Like, what do you think his first
Mania match?
I mean, yeah, he got it. I mean, it's September, baby. We getting on the Royal Rumble time. Like, we got to book him for Mania.
So I think his Mania match is Kevin Owens. I think his first match is Seth Rollins.
He wins or loses? Because Seth is the World Heavyweight Champion. Are we taking the belt off Seth to put it on Punk?
I think he loses the first one. And then maybe fucks around for a little bit, and then I have 2 more, and then he wins. And then he goes into a feud with Grayson Waller. And you got to put him against a young guy. That's who they got. That's their young guy.
Oh, God.
You got to put him against a young guy who like he can beat, who he can like. where it's not going to be a huge deal. And then I would also like to see him I would like to see him do one more pay-per-view match with John Cena. I'm standing by that. Okay, when you take off your headphones in a fit, it's not good for our listeners. It makes a lot of
I'm sorry. I want our
scratchy noise.
I get it. I want our listeners to understand. The idea of Punk facing Grayson Waller honestly gives me heartburn. Like, it makes my stomach upset.
But, like,
It just
give me
disgusts
your
me.
list then. Like, run down who can he face?
I think obviously we know who his first feud is. It's Seth.
Seth Rollins.
It's Seth. My question is, are you waiting till Rumble to do it? Because that's a long ass build, and I don't trust WWE with long ass builds.
I do with Triple H.
To a point, but even Triple H NXT
like,
builds can be fun.
First fucking match be for like the world title. Like,
well, no, I think his first match is Nakamura.
Yeah,
because they've done that. I think him and Nakamura do something at least until late December, January time, and I think the Rumble he has a match with Seth.
Okay, you got two. Now
I think he beats Seth.
Should or does?
I think he does. Should, no.
Okay.
I think Seth should win, but I also think Seth should win so Seth should face Gunther.
Gunther.
But I do think if Punk wins, I do think you do Punk Gunther. Which I, for the life of me, as someone who saw this man complain about Hangman hitting him too hard, cannot see him withstanding 3 Gunther chops in the mix of that fucking match and see him not feel like, maybe he's not that bad. But if he's not getting Gunther and he's not beating Seth, right? Which I don't think he should. Austin. I think this is your only time you're going to get to do Punk versus Austin.
Austin Theory.
No.
Steve Austin.
Yes.
Get the fuck up out here.
Nope. When's another time you're going to get a chance to do it?
It doesn't matter. You don't need to have.
Oh, you mean the same way we don't talk about Rock and like? Let's be real here. He's gonna get. I think it's gonna be Stone Cold. I think this is it. This is it. That is the match for night one. Is him and Stone Cold. I mean, one of my friends said him and Cody, and then Roman faces Rock, and I'm like, that's not happening. Cody's getting that Roman match.
Nothing would be greater to me if Punk finishes the story before Cody Rhodes. And I love Cody Rhodes, and I want him to make it. But I'm also a fan of chaos, and nothing is more chaotic than fucking Punk.
My chaotic world, that's a completely different booking. In my chaotic world, it's different. My chaotic world is Punk wins the Rumble, and it's Punk versus Roman.
My chaotic world is always going to be my priority.
All right. Well, I think we have it there. We pretty much both see Seth as being one of his first major feuds. Yeah. At least. I think by Rumble, it's him and Seth for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Your legacy booking is Steve Austin and mine's John Cena.
Listen, do I want to see either? Not really. But do I want to see one? Because at least one is like, we've always kind of wanted to see it. Like, I'll be honest with you. The only reason why I'm not crazy about John Cena, I've seen the last few matches, bro. He just ain't there no more. It's just that it's you gotta accept it.
Every fighter has one last great match in them.
I don't think he got it, brother. And you know why I don't think he got it? Because Punk gotta lead him in the match.
Punk's always led those matches, though.
Yeah, but he gotta lead him more because Cena's really like it's different leading. You know what I'm saying? Like Cena can still nah. This is like I gotta carry you through this one. Yeah. Like British Bulldog Brett after British did coke or crack. All right, Jack. Tell the people where they can find you.
You can read my reviews with my precise and divisive out of 10 rating system at theaspentimes.com. Mucking with Movies is the name of the column. And then you can check out the rest of my work, both directorial and writing at jacksimonmakes.com.
Okay. And you can find me, everything Life of Dean. Currently, I'm about to go up to Harlem and paint a mural. And you can also follow us at Wrestling with Romance on Instagram, Romance Pod on Twitter. We're gonna get some more, content up there. It's been pretty hard. It's a lot of work, but we're getting there. All right, we're 6 episodes and we're doing this all guerrilla warfare, guerrilla style. Okay, baby. So
Yeah, baby.
we will see you guys next week, and yeah, we'll holla.
Deuces.